to the special marquee that has been set up for the beginning of the official press conference kicking off the state visit here in South Africa by China's president. Both heads of state enjoy cordial relations. President Xi Jingping, of course, here on invitation of President Zuma, who was in China in 2013. Let us cross now over to the main marquee for the beginning of the program and get the press conference by both heads of state on the outcomes of the engagement.
Zuma, Your Excellency President Xi Jingping, Vice Premiers, Ministers, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. We will now commence with the official proceedings for the signing ceremony between the Republic of South Africa and the People's Republic of China. The agreements and MOUs will be signed simultaneously. The first 4 agreements and MOUs are the Memorandum of Understanding on jointly building the Silk Road Economic Belt and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road between the Government of the Republic of South Africa and the Government of the People's Republic of China. The signatories will be Minister Ngwana Mashabane, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of South Africa, and Minister Wang Yi, Minister of Foreign Affairs. Ministers. You may be seated here, Minister. Can you conduct the ministers to where they are supposed to be seated? The second Memorandum of Understanding, which will be signed, and the ministers will sit on the second table behind their flags, will be the Memorandum of Understanding on Science Park Cooperation between the Department of Science and Technology from the Republic of South Africa and the Ministry of Science and Technology from the People's Republic of China. The signatories will be Minister Pando, Minister of Science and Technology, and Ambassador Tian, the Chinese ambassador to the Republic of South Africa. Ministers and Ambassador, Your Excellency. The third document to be signed, and the dignitaries will sit on the third table, will be the Action Plan on Cooperation in Human Resource Development between the Department of Higher Education and Training of the Republic of South Africa and the Ministry of Commerce of the People's Republic of China. The signatories will be Minister Nzimande, Minister of Higher Education, and Minister Gao Husheng, Minister of Commerce. Ministers. The last MOU to be signed in this round is the Memorandum of Understanding between the Industrial Development Corporation, IDC, of South Africa Limited and the Beijing Automotive Group, CO. Limited, and the signatories will be Mr. Mvuleni Geoffrey Qhena, Chief Executive Officer of IDC, and Mr. Shu Hei, Chairman of BAIC. Your Excellencies. You may. You don't need to go. The next 4 agreements and MOUs to be signed are the Action Plan on the strengthening of the joint working group between the Republic of South Africa and the People's Republic of China. The signatories once more will be Minister Ngwana Mashabane, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, and Minister Gao Cheng, Minister of Commerce. Ministers. The next agreement to be signed will be the agreement between the government of the Republic of South Africa and the government of the People's Republic of China on strengthening cooperation in the oceans economy. The signatories will be Minister Molewa, Minister of Environmental Affairs, and Mr. Shu Shao, Chairman of the National Development and Reform Commission. Your Excellency. The next Memorandum of Understanding between the government of the Republic of South Africa and the government of the People's Republic of China on the reciprocal establishment of cultural centers will be signed by Minister Mtetwa, Minister of Arts and Culture, Vice Minister Yang Zishin, Vice Minister of Culture, Ministers. The last in this group will be the Memorandum of Understanding between the Department of Public Enterprises of the Republic of South Africa and the State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration, SASAC, of the People's Republic of China. The signatories will be Minister Brown, Minister of Public Enterprises, and Vice Minister Zanki, the Minister of State-Owned Enterprises. Ministers. Please give the ministers. The next 4 agreements and MOUs are the Memorandum of Understanding on Anti-Monopoly Cooperation between the Ministry of Commerce of the People's Republic of China and the Economic Development Department of South Africa. The signatories will be Minister Patel, Minister of Economic Development, and Mr. Gao Wucheng, Minister of Commerce. Ministers. The next Memorandum of Cooperation will be between the South African Revenue Service of the Republic of South Africa and the General Administrations of Customs of the People's Republic of China. The signatories will be Mr. Matsobane Matlwa, Acting Commissioner of the South African Revenue Services, and Minister Yu Guashong, Minister of Customs. Minister. The next Memorandum of Understanding will be on strategic cooperation entered between Eskom Holdings, SOC Limited, and the State Grid Corporation of China, and will be signed by Mr. Baldwin Sipongubane, Chairman of Eskom, and Mr. Li Yifan, Vice President, State Grid Corporation of China. Your Excellencies. The next agreement to be signed will be the Strategic Cooperation Agreement to fund infrastructure and industrial development projects in South Africa and the rest of Africa between the Industrial Development Corporation, the IDC of South Africa Limited, and the China Construction Bank Corporation. This agreement will be signed by Mr. Mvuleni Geoffrey Qhena, Chief Executive Officer of IDC, and Mr. Wang Hongzhang, President of CCB. Your Excellencies, the next documents to be signed will be the report on the statistical discrepancies of merchandise trade between the Republic of South Africa and the People's Republic of China by Minister Davies, Minister of Trade and Industry, and Minister Gao Hucheng, Minister of Commerce. The next memorandum of understanding will be between the government of the Republic of South Africa and the government of the People's Republic of China on cooperation in health and medical sciences, and it will be signed by Minister Mtswaledi, our Minister of Health, and Minister Li Bin, Minister of National Health and Family Planning Commission. Ministers. The next agreement will be a loan agreement between the Eskom Holdings, SOC Limited, the next agreement to be signed will be the loan agreement between the Eskom Holdings, SOC Limited, and the China Development Bank Corporation, and it will be signed by Mr. Baldwin Sipho Ngumane, Chairman of Eskom, and Mr. Hu Huaibang, Chairman and Executive Director of CDB. And the next will be the Framework Cooperation Agreement between Transnet SOC Limited and the Export and Credit Insurance Corporation of China. It will be signed by Mr. Siabonga Gama, Acting Group Chief Executive Transnet, and Mr. Wang Yi, Chairman of the Credit Insurance Corporation of China. The next agreement will be the agreement between the government of the Republic of South Africa and the government of the People's Republic of China The next agreement between the government of the Republic of South Africa and the government of the People's Republic of China regarding the waiver of visa requirements for the holders of diplomatic and official service passports. This agreement will be signed by Minister Kikaba, the Minister of Home Affairs, and Minister Wang Yi, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Ministers? Minister? The next will be the Cooperation Framework Agreement between the Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority and the China Communications Construction Company Limited. And this framework agreement will be signed by Mr. James Ndlovu, CEO of TCTA, and Mr. Liu, Chairman of the China Communications Construction Company. Your Excellencies. The next document to be signed will be the final acceptance for CBERS 04 satellite ground system in South Africa between the South African National Space Agency, SANSA, and the China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation. It will be signed by Dr. Sandile Malinga, Chief Executive Officer of SANSA, and Mr. Xu Wen, Director General of CAISC, Your Excellencies. The next document will be Project Management Cooperation Agreement of CAP 1400 project between the South Africa Nuclear Corporation SOC Limited, NECSA, and the State Nuclear Power Technology Corporation Limited, SNPTC. And this document will be signed by Mr. Phumzile Chelane, Chief Executive Officer of NECSA, and Mr. Wang, Chairman of SNPTC. Your Excellencies. The last three agreements to be signed are the collaboration and framework agreement between the Standard Bank of South Africa Limited and the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China Limited. And it will be signed by Mr. Sim Chabalala, Joint CEO, Standard Bank Group, and Mr. Yi, President of ICBC Group. Your Excellencies. The next agreement will be the Strategic Cooperation Agreement between Investec Limited and the Export-Import Bank of China, and it will be signed by Mr. Steven Kosev, Chief Executive Officer of the Investec Group, and Mr. Hu, Chairman of the China Export-Import Bank. The last will be the cooperation agreement between the NASPERS Group and State Council Information Officer of the People's Republic of China, and it will be signed by Mr. Nolo Letele, Executive Chairman of MultiChoice SA Group and NASPERS Director, and it will be signed by Minister Jiang, State Council Information Officer, Office, Your Excellencies. Thank you, Your Excellencies, President Zuma and President Xi Jingping, for witnessing the signing ceremony. We will now proceed to the press briefing. I would like to invite His Excellency, President Zuma, to deliver remarks. Your Excellency.
Your Excellency, President Xi Jingping, and their distinguished delegation, the South African delegation, members of the media, it is a pleasure for me to host President Xi Jingping on his second state visit to South Africa. It is also a historic visit taking place on the eve of the first FOCAC summit in Africa. We are honored to host this important event in South Africa. Our meeting today provided us with the opportunity to discuss progress we have made with the implementation of our 5 to 10-year strategic program of cooperation. Many areas of cooperation have been identified, and a great deal of progress has been made in the areas identified for 2015. The 2015 areas of cooperation are the following: alignment of industries to accelerate South Africa's industrialization process, enhancement of cooperation in social economic zones, enhancement of marine cooperation, infrastructure development, human resource cooperation, and financial cooperation. In our discussions today, President Xi and I both expressed our satisfaction about the progress we have made in the implementation of identified projects. We focused on especially our economic and trade relations. We have just witnessed the signing of 26 agreements that are worth 94 billion rand. The volume of agreements indicates the amount of work that has been done in the past few months. We agreed that more could and should be done to increase our trade and investment figures. South Africa has just hosted an inward buying mission from China, which comprise large Chinese state-owned enterprises in the areas of agriculture and agro-processing, minerals, plastics and chemicals, capital goods, automotive, and related sectors. We wish to invite more inward buying missions to South Africa. I believe that this will contribute to addressing the structure of our bilateral trade as well as the industrialization of our economy. We were both satisfied about the level and extent of the cooperation that exists between our two countries with regard to the establishment of special economic zones and science parks in South Africa. In this regard, I refer particularly to Chinese investments in the metallurgical cluster by the Hoi Mo Consortium within the Messina Special Economic Zone in Limpopo province. We requested China's continued support for the development of South African special economic zones and industrial parks, especially in infrastructure development and the establishment of incubation centers and specialized training institutes. In the area of energy, I informed President Xi that there is a niche for cooperation with China, mainly in wind, solar, and hydropower through the Renewable Energy Independent Power Producers Program. We have also discussed our cooperation related to Operation Pakisa, especially programs aimed at unlocking the potential of our ocean economy. Amongst others, these include the development of small harbors and the positioning and utilization of South African ports as transshipment hubs of Chinese ocean carriers in their global trade and within the BRICS trade. In addition, we also proposed further engagement with China on the recapitalization of our marine manufacturing capacity and investments in vessel construction businesses. We also seek to expand tourism and business interaction. We therefore welcome the introduction of direct flights between Johannesburg and Beijing by Air China. South Africa has opened 2 new visa processing centers in Chengdu and Guangzhou, which will further promote travel between the 2 countries. We have each expressed our views regarding the UN Climate Change Conference, COP21, which is currently taking place in Paris. The impact of climate change affects everyone. African countries are already experiencing some of the worst effects of climate change. We must anticipate that these impacts will worsen over time unless global greenhouse gas emissions are drastically reduced, with developed countries taking the lead. We urge all parties in Paris to put the interests of the world first and not allow national interests to make it difficult to reach an agreement. We remain optimistic that a legally binding agreement will be reached, as we have no other choice. We have to act now before it is too late. We also confirmed to China our support for their presidency of the G20 and to cooperate with them to further advance those issues we deem crucial to developing countries. Naturally, we also touched upon the main developments of BRICS since the UFA summit in July this year. We also discussed the need to promote global peace and security and condemn the recent acts of terror in France, Nigeria, and other countries. Global action against terrorism is necessary within the ambit of the United Nations. In this regard, the reform and expansion of the United Nations Security Council is also critical for it to include other regions of the globe, especially Africa, with its 1 billion people. Ladies and gentlemen, relations between China and South Africa are currently at their best level ever. We are truly pleased to host President Xi and his delegation. We look forward to a fruitful state visit and a highly successful forum on Africa-China cooperation this week. I would now wish to invite President Xi Jingping to address the media. I thank you.
尊敬的祖马总统，各位中南政府的各界的朋友们，
Chinese and South African government, friends from the press, good evening.
我很高兴应祖马总统的邀
It
请，
is my pleasure
再一次
to
对彩虹之国南非共和
come
国
back
进行国
to
事。
South Africa, the Rainbow Nation, for state visit upon the invitation of President Zuma. In March
国家
2013,
主席后，
I
首次
visited South
到
Africa
了南非等非洲
and other African countries on my first overseas trip as the Chinese president. Over the past 3 years, we have together witnessed the rapid development of China-South Africa comprehensive strategic partnership.
我和祖马总统保持
President Zuma and I
互访，
have maintained frequent mutual visits and meetings.
将双边关系
We have together identified China-South Africa relations
战略支持
as the strategic focus and a priority of our respective foreign
共同制
policies.
定了中南
We have
5至10年
formulated
合作
the
战略
5
规划，
to 10 years strategic program of cooperation.
两国政治互信不断加强，
Political mutual trust between our two countries are increasing,
深入推
and
进
our practical cooperation is deepening.
人文交流、
People to people and cultural exchanges are flourishing,
国际合作、
and our cooperation on international affairs is becoming ever
中南
closer.
关系
China-South Africa relations
最好时
are in the best shape ever.
刚才
Just now,
和祖马总统
President Zuma and I
富有成果的
had fruitful talks.
见证签署了一系列
We witnessed
新的
the signing
重要的
of
合
a
作，
series of new and important cooperation agreements
并就新形势下推
and
动中南
reached
全面战略
important
关系
consensus
深入发展，
on deepening China-South Africa comprehensive strategic partnership under the new
我
circumstances.
们一致认为，双方要
We
继
share the
续
view
从战
that
略
the two sides should
长
continue
远角度
to view
看待
and promote China-South Africa relations from strategic and long-term perspectives.
保持密切
We need to
的
maintain
交流
close high-level exchanges,
深化治国理政经
strengthen
验的交
the
流，
sharing of governance experience,
在涉及各自重大关切问题上，
and also on issues concerning our major concerns, we should extend mutual understanding and support.
在国际事务中加强
And
战
we
略
should
沟通
also strengthen strategic communication and coordination in international affairs.
双方决定加快落实
The two sides
中南5至
have
10年
decided
合
to
作
speed
战略
up
规划，
the implementation of the 5 to 10 year strategic program of cooperation
海洋经济
and work for early and more results in the 6 priority areas, namely special economic zones, marine economy, production capacity, energy, infrastructure building, and human resources development. We will further expand areas of mutually beneficial cooperation and deliver greater benefits to the peoples of the 2 countries. The 2 sides have agreed to further expand people-to-people exchanges and personnel interflow, enhance tourism and local government cooperation, strengthen exchanges between media, think tanks, higher learning institutions, youth and women, and increase mutual understanding and friendship between our 2 countries, so that China-South Africa friendship will strike deep roots in people's hearts. China-South Africa relations are now standing at a new historical starting point. Our 2 countries have strong economic complementarity, a strong desire for cooperation, and a broad prospect for further cooperation. We are ready to work together with South Africa to seize the favorable opportunities and build China-South Africa relations into a model of unity and cooperation between China and other developing countries. This year, for China-South Africa relations and the development of China-Africa relations, is a special year. In 2 days' time, President Zuma and I will co-chair the FOCAC Johannesburg Summit. This summit takes place on the 15th anniversary of the establishment of the FOCAC, and it is also the first China-Africa Summit ever held on the African continent. It is of milestone importance to the all-round development of China-Africa relations and more balanced, inclusive, and sustainable development of the world. President Zuma and I look forward to renewing friendship with leaders of all other FOCAC members and discuss issues of importance to our development and map out new plans and inject new impetus for the future of China-Africa cooperation. I am confident that the summit will be a historic event for strengthening China-Africa unity and guiding China-Africa cooperation. And it will usher in a new era of China-Africa win-win cooperation for common development. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Your Excellencies. We have now come to the end of the program. Your Excellencies, may you all rise. The presidents will now take leave. Thank you.
Well, that was President Jacob Zuma and his counterpart from the People's Republic of China, President Xi Jingping, just officially wrapping up what the importance of President Xi Jinping's official state visit to South Africa is all about. And really, the crux of the matter is it's all about economic development. Now, this economic development, we saw earlier ministers from the South African presidency, from the South African cabinet, signing a bevy of agreements which basically deal with the issue of trade between China and South Africa. Now, some of the key industries that would seek and would benefit between the bilaterals between China and South Africa would be around textiles, around social development, around infrastructural development, as well as around the sea economy. Of course, China is also coming to bring a bevy of expertise in terms of skills transfer to South Africa with deals of being signed, which also incorporate communications as well as science. These are some of the highlights from the various agreements that were signed. As far as the speeches go, President Jacob Zuma highlighting the importance of the trade between both countries and calling for reaffirmation of the mutually beneficial relationship and the partnership that South Africa has with China, really underpinning the ethos of those agreements. This is what the basis of the agreements is all about, the mutually beneficial relationship and the beneficiation of the Chinese-South African bilateral relations. Obviously touching also President Zuma on some of the topical and political issues, talking about the issue of security globally, reflecting what has happened obviously with the attacks that we have seen recently, both on the African continent as well as in Paris, the terror attacks, saying that both nations have to work together to strengthen economies in order to try and mitigate the impact of the terror organizations that have been terrorizing Europe, as well as we see a myriad of organizations linked to terror groups here in Africa as well, North and East Africa particularly. So this has been the scope of the first day of the official state visit here at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. With that, it's back to you in the studio.
Bond, it's Moneypenny. I've got your phone. Will you do me a favor next time? Go and pick it up yourself.
The son of Africa, Trevor Noah, is leaving America in stitches.
I never dreamed that I would one day have, well, two things really. An indoor toilet and a job as host of The Daily Show.
We are the first to bring you the latest films around the globe.
Dear white people, the minimum requirement of black friends needed to not seem racist has just been raised to 2.
Cobhams Esako is a gifted blind musician, a master of soothing notes from the piano.
I love to sit behind the piano. You know, that also helps me find inspiration.
Join Refulo Mulwa every Friday for that 1-hour weekly dose of art and entertainment news at 9 p.m. on Trends.
Everybody wants to look like Superman, and unfortunately nothing in a bottle, nothing in a capsule form